Hello and welcome back to the British and Irish Eagles podcast as part of the Philly Sports International Group. We are back. There's been, not as much news as we're fully into the off season now for the Eagles. But there's enough news going on at the moment for us to get back on your railways and back in your ears. I'm sitting here in Newtown, Bucks County, Pennsylvania, which is where myself and my wife now reside. We live here. Looking forward to being able to get to more of the games. Now we're living stateside, and we were at a Phillies game this Sunday just gone by, and by God, is it hot when the sun shines in Philadelphia. Phil, you're joining me, 3 p.m., 20 past 3 your time on a Wednesday. Hopefully none of your work colleagues listen to this.
Yeah, I tell you, I'll make it up at the end of the day. Don't worry. Please don't follow me.
Exactly.
Seriously, it's good to be back. It's sort of hard during the off season, like you said. There's not a lot going on the pitch, but for us specifically, there's a huge amount going on. Obviously, with the launch last month, which is going well, which I know you get into in a minute. But yeah, busy behind the scenes, getting ready for the new season. First watch along planned for September. It's all exciting stuff.
Yeah, you got it. And just to give you all an idea of the agenda of today's podcast, we're going to quickly talk about the PSI launch and all, but more importantly, I know what you guys are going to want to hear is what events have we got planned coming up this year? What watch-alongs have we got planned? What are the plans for the third season of Birds Fly Home, where we take people from all of the Isles, the Emerald Isle, the Scottish Isle, the Welsh Isle, the English Isle, France, whatever. You can come over to Philadelphia for the week of a lifetime to watch the Birds play, as well as many of our fantastic events that we do. If you know us, you'll know how good this trip is. If you don't, wait and listen in and maybe come along with us this year or next. After that, we're going to talk about the Nick Sirianni extension news, which landed this week. So we're going to talk about what that means for the Birds. We've got a number of competitions going on in the next couple of months. We're going to talk to you about for your chance to win merchandise, and then there are a number of kind of mailbag questions we want to get through about the season upcoming, like what we've seen in the off season. There's also a big topic for us to discuss, which is the Brotherly Shove, also known as the Tush Push, and that is in front of the owners of the NFL this week in, I think it's Minnesota or Minneapolis, to discuss its ban. We're going to discuss what's been coming through the grapevine on that and what it could mean for the Eagles in 2025-2026 season. And of course, we're going to look at the schedule, which is now released, and me and Phil will give our early take on what the Eagles record will be in 2025-26 and whether the Birds will go back to the Super Bowl. Perhaps the banning the Tush Push, if it does happen, could be the chip on the shoulder they need to reinvigorate them after a Super Bowl win this year. Who knows? We'll talk about that shortly. So without any further ado, and it's been a while since I've been able to say that, let's get straight into the PSI launch and the events coming up. We have now over 100 subscribed members for the 2025-26 season. Thank you for everyone who signed up so far. You've still got 9 days to sign up before the June WhatsApp amnesty ends. So please get your subscriptions in before then. Just by way of an update on some of the prize competitions we're doing at the moment, if you sign up before June 1st, you have a choice of any jersey, any Philly team's jersey, whether you're a 76ers fan, Phillies fan, Eagles fan, or Flyers fan. We're also doing a couple more competitions. We've got a 76ers finals competition, which is going on between now and the end of the NBA finals. You can win a 76ers jersey. If you win that competition, there's a Phillies home run competition, which is starting in June, and that you can win a Phillies cap. If you win that one, and then finally, a Phillies last man standing competition starts June 1st, and you can win a Phillies jersey if you win that one as well. But Phil, why don't you take me through some of the events we've got going on June, July, September, and then I'll take us through the November slate here.
Sure, yeah. So we've been busy behind the scenes, getting the events put on the website, speaking to the four corners of PSI to see what we've got going on. Obviously, first off the list, Dave, UK Phillies, and a few other guys are heading over to Philadelphia for the Mets series at the beginning of June. Super jealous of that. It's going to be absolutely amazing. I think they're catching all 3 games of the series, plus a Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs, I think they are called. As well, they've got batting practice tickets. They're going to see the NBC studios at Wells Fargo Center, I believe, as well. So it's a really good little trip to tick it off. There are going to be more trips like that in the future. We've also put in our reservations at Passyunk for a few events over the course of this year. Specifically, there is a non-PSI event, but we are going to be part of it on the 4th of July, so Independence Weekend. They're going to be opening up Passy and trying to ordain it as the home of Phillies baseball in the UK. I think there's going to be like a pound wing night there. We then going to arrange our first actual proper PSI Phillies watch along, which is going to be on Sunday, the 27th of July, which I'm going to be heading to London to Battersea, because I've not been to Battersea yet. I'm super looking forward
to it. Nice.
Yeah, it looks really nice as well. So all these events, by the way, are on our website. So if you sign up as a member, get into the events column, and you can get your buy tickets. They're free, but we know that we've organised it so that you have to purchase a ticket. It just helps us manage people and obviously helps us control everything. So get your tickets on there. We're then going to be heading back to Waterloo, the home of Eagles baseball. Eagles football. In Waterloo, but this time it's going to be a double header. So we've managed to find a date suitably now the schedule's released, where the Phillies and the Eagles are playing in the same day, and preferably not at the same time as well, although we would have managed that if we had to. But luckily it's going to be a double header. But not only is it a Phillies Eagles double header, it's a Philly Kansas City double header. So we've got
weird
Royals are heading to Citizens Bank Park, UK local time around 6:05, I believe, and then the Eagles are going into Arrowhead to face the Chiefs at 9:25. So there's going to be a really good night, doubleheader. I know we've already got about 26 people, 26 tickets sold for that. So we've got a good following, and it's not even June yet. So that's not till September. So that's going to be the sort of the big ticket item come the Eagles season.
I may be there as well, not to make you jealous, but I have an invite from Brian Steffi to go and join him and his brother at the Kansas game.
Do it, man. I mean, you got to take advantage of it. I mean, I know we all would if we were in your shoes, but no, it's not going to be as good going to Passyunk Avenue on
that would be classic.
Watching
Phillies and Eagles. Yeah, I love that.
Exactly, and like you said about the Birds Fly Home, almost 100% confirmed now, but we'll be going for the Lions game, which is on the 16th of November. So a little bit later than previous years, but due to where the schedule's fallen, the only other alternative was a Giants game, which we might have gone for, but there's apparently a lot of things going on in Philly that weekend. So in order to make it the best experience we can for you guys, we've decided to go for the Lions, which is going to be the better game anyway. Let's face it, Sunday Night Football with the Lions coming into the link.
Because like we've also got there's rumors of a Lions, a big Lions trip to Philadelphia that weekend as well. So we're going to be calling on not only all of the Birds Fly Home participants, members, fans who are flying over with us, but all of the locals in Philadelphia to come out in force and make this like a big weekend, big rival now in the NFC. The Lions.
We need to get Roar the Lions involved in this. Just thinking about it.
Yeah, we should. That's a great shout, especially let's get the UK Lions and Eagles fans over. Let's get the Lions fans and then the Eagles. Yeah, I mean that sounds amazing. Yeah, it's going to be a spectacular weekend. Look out for emails if you've already registered interest in coming on that, or you've already signed up for your deposit. The website for Birds Fly Home will be updated very shortly. We'll be providing you with details of all the celebrities that are going to be involved with us that weekend, what games we're going to be able to go to, suites, activities, tours. And of course, the VIP tailgate game day ticket itself, and some of the best seats in the house that we always get while we're there. So keep an eye out for that one. And then Phil, we got a PSI Wales takeover on the 23rd, the week after in Cardiff. Are you heading along to that one as well?
Yeah, so I'm going to do my best to get along to that one. Annoyingly, it's the week before, or it's within the same week as the Glasgow one. So we've picked a date for the Scotland takeover. As for the success of the Glasgow watch along versus the Ravens, we now picked the Bears game. on the 28th of November, which I believe is good Black Friday. So that'll be a nice UK-friendly kickoff as well. So the Scotland one's from that, but obviously that makes it about five days removed from the Wales takeover, which would be the Cowboys game, which I think is a 9:25 kickoff as well.
That's
but yeah,
a short week, 5 days.
Yeah, well, it's
turn around 4 nights.
Yeah, it's going to be like, I think that'll be on the Sunday from my reckoning, and obviously they've put the Eagles on
the Friday,
Black Friday, so a slightly 2 days shorter week, which is going to be tough, but it's still good for us.
Lottie's not letting you fly over to Philadelphia 1 week, then the next week Wales, and then the next week Scotland.
I'd love to do that. I think because I'm unfortunately not going to be able to get on Birds Fly Home myself this year for child-related reasons, and those that have been listening to the podcast long know it's probably not likely that I'm going to get over this year. But I'm super jealous of you guys getting over there for that. But I think I'm going to try and make up for it by trying to get to as many of the watch-alongs in the UK as possible. But the proximity of Wales and Scotland one may make it difficult, but we'll see how the year goes. Never rule it out.
You get some points in the bag between now and then, Phil. Right? You're going to wreck those bad boys.
I'm trying my best, but yeah, those are the events. Jam packed. Between now and the end of the year, we'll probably try and create some more different types of events over the course of the year, whether they be remote watch-alongs or just general meetups, parties, anything we can muster up. We'll try and get those in there as well. But looking good for the 2025 calendar.
And Phil, remind me, the fantasy football leagues, how are we tracking on that? We got lots of sign-ups. When are we doing the draft for this season?
So the drafts I already put the drafts in on the events calendar this up because I know I tend to do it at the same time every year. So they're not going to be till late August. As for all the intensive admin that I have to go through every year to make sure everyone gets in the league and we're all ready to go, there's sort of a 50% procrastination, 50% just waiting to the last moment to get as many people in. We've got 56 people signed up. I believe there's probably going to be a handful of more that have just forgotten about it. And so
I reckon you'll get up to 70.
Well, we had 70 last year. We had 7 leagues of 10 people, so I'm probably expecting around about the same mark this year. If I have to make it up to 70 with a couple extra second teams, last year we had a couple of people just to make up the numbers in the final 7th league. But yeah, details of that will be coming out very soon once I find some time just to sort of get my head around it and focus on it entirely. That don't worry, everyone who signed up, you will get contacted as soon as you won't miss out. But for those that aren't aware and haven't signed up yet, make sure you get on the Philly Sports International website, find the Eagles page, the fantasy football page. There's a form on there, which is the only way to get your name on it. If you filled out anything previously, we've moved everything across, so that is the only way to get your place.
Yeah, don't be lazy.
We know it's one of our big ticket items. We don't want people to miss out on the opportunities to win sort of a signed Hurts game jersey, Kelly Green jersey.
Best prizes we do, really.
It's incredible, and it was so hard to let that one go. But on top of that, helmets, balls, everything like that. The Eagles are so generous in sending stuff, and it becomes one of our most popular items. And we don't want people to miss out, like I said. So get on the website, become a member, get the form, sign it, fill it out, and then you'll be included in this year's competitions.
Love it. Right, let's go to some Eagles news then, as Nick Sirianni has signed a multi-year extension, and the question on the lips of everyone listening into this contract is how many years? It says multi, but how many years? Have you seen anywhere, Phil? Like even Jordan Mailata was being interviewed yesterday, and he was asking the reporters how many years has Sirianni been signed for, or how much cash has he got? Have you seen anything today that's officially announced how long that extension is?
No, and I mean, it's above my area of expertise knowing why you would keep something like that secret. There's obviously a reason why they don't want people drawing conclusions from it. Not, but contracts like these, especially for head coaches, they are the first head on the chopping block. So even as we talk right now, as a Super Bowl winning head coach, things don't go well next season and maybe into the following season, Lurie won't threaten, won't hesitate to get rid of him. So we know it's more of a symbolic thing. It's like a thanks for being the one of the maybe the second, if not the greatest Eagles head coach of the last in the history, for winning the second Super Bowl championship in the team's history. I think it's a case of similar to a lot of contracts when people go, oh, I don't think he's worth that much money, but you get rewarded for being a good player as much as you get rewarded for what you can produce in the future. It's like rookies on contracts for $5 million then get paid $30 million. And he's not worth $30 million. It's like, yeah, but what he did in his rookie years, he deserves to be compensated for that. So it's the same with the head coaches. And I think I think that it's just a good gesture to say, hey, thanks for winning us the Super Bowl. Have a go at doing it again, but that's as far as it goes for me.
Can you name 3 better coaches than Nick Sirianni in the league?
In the league right now, I think we haven't really got time for that kind of level of depth of conversation. I would love to get into the debate with you. I really would.
We should probably get Tony in for that part, right?
I think Tony would be annoyed if we had this conversation without him. But
That's
primarily from the perspective of how our polarizing opinions about what Nick Sirianni actually does and what we actually think he does good for the team and what he does bad for the team and all that sort of stuff. I think he deserves his flowers after where we were this time last year. For most of us being out of him, you were literally on the cusp of jumping off the cliff with us. You just about clung on with your fingernails. Now you're back, crowing from the rooftops, and how right you were to back him. But
I was just enjoying the path, the scenery at the top of the mountain.
You were just sort of like you just wanted to get one last snapshot of the sunset before you jumped off into the abyss. I get that. I mean, the guy's a Super Bowl champion. He's been taken the team to the Super Bowl twice. A 48-20 record as a head coach, and almost half those losses, 8 of them, came in his first season. So he's only had 12 losses in the 3 seasons since his first season. He's got the highest regular winning percentage of active head coach, and he's been in the playoffs every season. Like, if you want to look at it in that microcosm, it makes sense. But we all know that there's so many other nuances to his coaching style, good or bad, how much he impacts game day play calling decisions, the fact that he's benefited greatly in the seasons where he's not been directly involved. There's all sorts of, like I said, we don't really have time for the conversation. Obviously you can give me your quick opinion, but generally I'm happy for him to have the contract, and I'm happy as long as things keep going the same way. But much like Laurie, it's very conditional. It's not forever, and it's not set in stone.
Yeah, I agree. I think Sirianni's proved all doubters wrong, and there were plenty of them. Whether he was a cheerleader, could they win in spite of him? So what? It was his play calling, wasn't up to scratch. If he can build a culture that a team can thrive in, no matter who the coordinators are, for me, that's more valuable than a good play caller, because you're affecting the entire squad and not just one side of the ball. And I think the results speak for itself. I think it'd be hard for anyone to deny that Nick Sirianni is one of the best coaches that the Eagles have ever had. Certainly, top 3. You think about Doug, Andy Reid, and him, right? You put anyone else in that bracket. All 3 took the Eagles to Super Bowls. The one who didn't win a Super Bowl has gone on to win multiple with another team. And, Doug is he still clinging on for life in Jacksonville down there? Is he still, or is he gone now? I can't remember. That's interesting for the fantasy football leagues. Travis Hunter seems to be a long way down the drafting charts. I'd like to pick that up with you another time when we're talking about those. But yeah, look, I don't think anyone can deny it. I'll save most of my opinions for when Tony's on, because I'm sure he'll have a lot. But I think, as we spoke about towards the end of the season, Tony ate some humble pie there. Not in a bad way, just in a that's the best humble pie to eat, right? You win a Super Bowl, you get to eat humble pie. I'll eat humble pie if my takes are wrong this year. We win a Super Bowl next. Oh, you're on mute. Oh, it's been a while, Phil. Rookie error.
Don't actually remember putting myself on mute. Anyway, yeah, we'd be happy if he won 5 Super Bowls, because at the end of the day, we'll look back to the moment, no one will give a rat's ass if we doubted Sirianni anyway. But it was an interesting. I went for a run earlier today, and I didn't have many podcasts to listen to, so I begrudgingly listened to Heed the Call, and it was interesting because obviously talking about the Sirianni extension, and it was quite nice because I think everyone pretty much ganged up on Dan Hanses. Dan Hanses tried to give his balanced quotation marks view. He obviously thinks he's an idiot and doesn't like him, and made some really quip about him he's now a rich guy. He's not a good coach. He's just a rich guy sort of thing. And everyone else on the podcast just came out with really much more eloquent and well thought out points on why, he might be considered a good coach for reasons other than being the stereotypical good head coach that everyone seems to have this image in his head that Nick Sirianni clearly doesn't fit. And it was more to the lines of Kellen Moore apparently has been taking a lot of things that he's picked up from the Eagles in terms of managing people, not just managing players, and he's brought that across. And if that's what he picked up from just a year being with the Eagles, it just goes to show the impact that Sirianni has. Whether you agree it should just be that or not, whether he needs to be a better coach is an opinion, but he is creating that culture. You can't deny he's creating a culture. He's looking after players. The players loved him. Clearly, that was evident.
He makes aggressive calls when needed as well. He's not afraid to make.
He's got the balls and he's got the confidence to back himself. But I'm specifically talking about like the fact that the reason why when most people were out of him, players were still coming out and going, "No, he's my guy. I still love him. He's a great coach. You know, we want to keep him." And it didn't seem to make sense. Now it's making much more sense because it goes deeper than what maybe we thought. He's not just a guy who kind of gees everyone up in the film room. He's a guy who basically makes everyone on the team feel special, play to their best abilities. You know that if you want to fly,
he's accountable before they are. Jordan Mailata said it yesterday. He said like, "Why Nick means so much more to him." He says it's me. Then it's you. I'll take accountability first. Whatever went wrong, I'll improve. I'll get better. I'll own my mistakes. I'll improve. And you look at the Eagles organization and the whole culture behind learning from your mistakes and getting better. You look at Harry Roseman being in that cupboard away for a couple of seasons and then given a chance and learned and improved and got better. Nick Sirianni, nearly got sacked by Jeffrey Lurie, a season ago. Like literally last season, like he nearly got sacked. Season before, he nearly got sacked. Not season before, last season he nearly got sacked, and then he comes and wins it, and now he's come back, and that culture of not giving up, coming back, working hard, learning from your mistakes seems to be throughout the entire Eagles franchise, and I think that's one of the reasons why the players love him. They fight for him. If you've got a whole team of players who are fighting for their head coach because they believe in that, because he believes in them and he's got their back, then that's more powerful than getting an extra few reps in the weight room or an extra bit of juice in your legs or freshness, right? Fight.
Yeah, I mean, his big mantra is, you can't be great without the greatness of others, and I feel like he's managed to get that to the very core of the entire team. So there are players that maybe, could maybe include Jalen Hurts in that conversation, that he's kind of gradually come around to the idea that actually the reason Jalen Hurts has been to the Super Bowl twice and won one of them is not just because he is a good quarterback, a great quarterback, elite quarterback, however you want to phrase it. It's because the team has performed collectively together in every single aspect. And that that mantra fits that perfectly, where you kind of say everyone's realizing that they need everyone else to be great for them to be great themselves. And that's exactly what's happened.
Yeah, I love that. It's funny, like we say, there's not much to talk about Nick Sirianni, but just the character and the person and the human he is. It's impossible not to have a conversation about him and discuss the pros and cons of his character and his coaching ability, etc. It's funny, like we had a few questions down here to talk about it, and we kind of answered them all just by chatting it through. My final take on it, it's great for the Eagles. I feel like this contract is not a representation of they're giving him one more year. For me, this is Lurie saying you've got 2 to 3 years to win a Super Bowl. That's the way I look at it, right? There's a lot of change this year. The defense is very different. A lot of people have left, retired, moved on, got new contracts elsewhere. Going back to back is very hard. We know the Chiefs and Chiefs and Patriots are some of the only teams to have done it. For me, this is Jeffrey Lurie saying, I'm going to give you till 2027 to get back to a Super Bowl. I may not win a Super Bowl, but get back to a Super Bowl, in 2 years, maybe 3, but certainly he's got carte blanche. Even if the Eagles have a losing season this year, I think they'll still continue with Sirianni into next year and put it down to a transitional year. I don't think they'll have a losing season this year. I think they're too good, but even if maybe not.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Maybe not like 3-14, but if they have a 9-8 season or something like that, then I think Sirianni's he's got enough in the bag now for the next year. Anyway, all right. Moving on from Nick Sirianni then for a second. Let's talk about the Tush Push. As I mentioned earlier, The NFL owners are currently in discussions on whether to ban the Tush Push or not. I believe it needs like 24 votes of the 32 teams to pass. And it was 16-16 last time around, split down the middle. The Packers have changed the wording to include verbiage which talks about no, I'm trying to remember now because I haven't got it in front of me, but basically no offensive player can push or help a runner unless they are blocking opposing players. So that's the new verbiage. It sounds like based on health concerns, which I find hilarious, and also footballing terms and the look and feel of the play, that it looks like they might ban the Tush Push, which I find incredulous personally, because there are no stats whatsoever to back up that there are any health concerns on this play. You could maybe make the argument that it's not a footballing play and it's a bit more like a rugby play. It's hard for the Eagles to argue that, considering they got a rugby coach in to help them with it, as part of it. So I can see that side of things, but the NFL has developed and grown and changed and evolved over the years. Just because a team has found something new that they're really good at, the teams can't stop. Surely, rather than taking away that evolution of the game, you encourage teams to try and be better to stop it, or you encourage teams to be better at it, so they also have it in their repertoire. What are your thoughts, Phil?
So yeah, it's annoying. I don't want it to get banned because I enjoy the fact that we have so much success out of it. I enjoy the reasons why other teams hate us being able to do it. I enjoy the fact that they're whinging and moaning despite having just as many chances to try and replicate it. It's not. I can't surely. It's not like the Eagles were sat in the lab with boiling tubes of various coloured liquids and Jeff Stoutland with some goggles on with exploding puffs of smoke going, Eureka, we've done it. We've created the perfect play that no one else is going to be able to do and that no one else is going to be able to do anything about, and we're going to win the Super Bowl because of it. That's obviously not the case. It's just the fact that people are whinging about it, that they can't do it, or that they don't like what it's called, or they think it's dangerous. There isn't one solid reason to come up. I'd understand if Jalen had been injured on it. I'd understand if a defensive player had been seriously injured in the play and not as a direct result of lining up horizontally like that Washington player did against us and got a neck injury and got put out of the game last year. It's just the fact that it's just one of those things where the league doesn't like it. Roger Goodell clearly is not a fan of it, or is getting pressured from certain people to say that it's not NFL, it's not football, it's a rugby play, despite one of the biggest stars to come out of rugby into the NFL, Jordan Mailata, saying it has absolutely nothing to do with it. There is foundations in rugby, obviously, the concept of brute force and pushing. Yeah, that's about the limit of the similarities.
But they're not interlocked,
No, but it's like, I understand it's obviously you can't say it's not come from rugby. It just depends on how much you want to admit that it's like, but going so far as to say it's a rugby play is bullshit. It's not.
No, because it's not actually correct. Yeah.
It's just they know by making that statement, people are like, well, this is football, not rugby. So that stokes those kind of emotional reactions to it. People who don't like the fact that another sport is entering their beloved sport. They want it to be pure or whatever. And the health stuff, like you said, no one has been injured as a direct result of play yet. That's the tabling, but it doesn't stop people from tabling it, and it's got the discussion on the ballot. So if they turn around and said, well, we know that no one gets injured for it, but if we say it's player safety, it gets more credence when it gets put on the docket. And then we've got a foot in the door to try and get it banned by talking about it.
That's what I can't get. Like,
I know.
Health committee are promoting the ban of the play based on what? You get more injuries from running a quarterback sneak than you do the Tush Push.
But I also get it. It's when it's
no ban the Tush Push.
I get it that they, if I'm trying to do trials, I'd put myself in their shoes and go, okay, if I was a fan of another team, and and I always try to be balanced about things. I don't think I would be as whingy as most people seem to be coming out, but I would definitely turn around and go, it's not really. I don't really like the fact that we can't run it. But then you'd hopefully look inwardly and go, well, it's not their fault that we can't run it. There's some secret sauce that Jeff Stoutland's created.
Not every team is a dual threat quarterback who can run the ball and throw the ball. Right? What do you do? You
But that brings me on to the.
You go sign him. That's what we want to play, right? We drafted a quarterback who squatted 600 pounds. We signed a running back who can squat 650. We've just got AJ Dillon who can squat 590 or whatever it is, and we've got one of the biggest offensive lines in football. We have drafted and signed players, which makes this play a success. The same way the Ravens drafted Lamar Jackson because he can break outside the pocket and get a first down really easily, right?
Mm-hmm.
You draft the players.
It's a so what? It's a what aboutery. It's like, well, if you want to ban that, we should ban this, that, and the other. But that won't obviously happen. But they're valid points. It's like it does feel a little bit targeted. Like there's always
it's not a little bit targeted.
But there's always an underdog mentality about the Eagles, and why it always seems to be us because there's so many other things. Which is not the NFL's cup of tea. They want Patrick Mahomes to be at the top. They wanted the 3P. We absolutely destroyed that notion. But that was going to bring me on to my next point about Jalen Hurts. It's like watching. I literally just went straight on YouTube and I was like Tush Push highlights. I just wanted to see if I could find a video where it just did Tush Push after Tush Push after Tush Push. And I did find one. I put it in the WhatsApp group. It was from 2023, mind. But just so I could watch it over and over again, different examples. And what I was doing was just watching Jalen Hurts and just trying and the people pushing him and going. Like I swear, like at least 3/4 of every Tush Push that ran in 2023 specifically, he's either there or thereabouts on his own before the pushers even touch him. And even then, it almost just looks more ceremonial. Like it's more like it visually looks like they're pushing, but you can just tell that he's already got the momentum and he's at the line of scrimmage. He's at the first down line. So maybe it helps speed it up, but he's almost like there. He would have got the first down or the touchdown or whatever.
So maybe all the Tush Push does is he's good enough to get 75% of them, but for the 25% where he's not quite sure, it helps him get over the line.
Yeah, I think they'll probably still run it. They'll definitely still run some version. It'll be a QB sneak, obviously. It won't be a Tush Push anymore, but they'll do it. They might not do it like a couple of the examples where the Eagles literally on their own goal line and they use the Tush Push to gain themselves sort of 4 or 5 yards just to give them a bit of breathing space to get out of their end zone. They won't run it then because I think the risk of it not working and the success rate will go down. So they'll probably be a bit more candid and reserved about it. But I don't think that they're going to stop running it. And to be honest, it's still a very useful play. And if you see the Eagles line up like that, there's going to be so many defensive linemen with PTSD that are going to be going, oh, I know they can't push, but they're probably still going to get this first down. They're still going to be successful on the play.
What do you think about like Matt LaFleur and Green Bay? They ran the play the second most times in the NFL last year behind the Eagles.
Well, I have my own theory.
It's ridiculous.
I think that's more of a case of the owner putting pressure on the coach and saying, you need to come out against it. You need to come out and visibly show detraction from it because you need the other coaches you need to be the pioneer in this. You need to be the one that people are going to go, actually, I agree with the Packers because I think you've seen visibly uncomfortable at the interviews that Matt LaFleur had when he got asked the questions. It's like I think you can see it behind his eyes. He's like, I know we ran it, I know we did, I know arguably we're hurting ourselves. I'm getting told to say this, so I'm doing this whether I agree with it or not. Like the politicians, where you know that it doesn't matter whether they believe what they're saying, they're just saying that because that's what they've been told to say.
Yeah, and fine, I get that. If the point is it's a rugby play, and if the point is it doesn't look great, then you can make the argument as a head coach saying, "Hey, look, it doesn't look great. It's a bit of a rugby play, but if other teams are doing it successfully, of course I'm going to try it until it gets banned. But we don't agree with it. But we use all our tools." But if you're saying player safety is an issue, and you run it yourself, then you're a fucking hypocrite. Excuse my French, but you are.
Yeah, you're right.
Because if it's not safe, then why are you doing it to your own players? What kind of person does that make you look like? If you think it's not safe, Eagles think it's safe, but you think it's not safe, and you choose to play it, what does that make you look like?
I think if more teams had been successful last year in replicating it, it may not have got banned. But I feel like the second season of the Eagles running it so effectively and visibly more than other teams, I think was just the final nail in the coffin. I think Roger was like hoping that the thing would sort itself out and the Eagles would kind of not be so successful and maybe kind of go, well, we're just going to move away from it naturally. but he's basically intervening because he's seeing that it's not going away, and the Eagles have just got it net locked down, and no one else can do it, and he doesn't want his product to be seen to be imbalanced, because at the end of the day, the NFL is all about balance from the top to the bottom, the draft to the free agency to the salary cap. Everything's about balance, and when one team can visibly gain an advantage, whether it's rightly or wrongly, they're going to do something about it.
Yeah, I know. It's just frustrating. All right, Phil, I've probably got about 5 or 6 minutes left here before I got to get back to work myself. So let's talk about the schedule. I'll quickly run through the list here. The Eagles opened the season on September 4th on Thursday Night Football versus the Dallas Cowboys. Thank you, Roger Goodell. Thank you for allowing us to see Jerry Jones's tears while the Super Bowl banner is dropped at Lincoln Financial Field. I'm definitely going to try and be there. Ticket prices are expensive for that game, as you can possibly imagine. Standing only tickets are like $400 or $500, and that's not even like a seat. So I beg, borrow, steal, and charm my way to a couple of cheaper tickets. Hopefully, between now and the 4th of September, I'll see how I get on. Vince, if you're listening in, I love you, buddy. Sort of rubber out. So week afterwards, we talked about already, September 14th, the Eagles go to Arrowhead to play the Kansas City Chiefs. 2 mammoth games, really. And in fact, now that I look at the schedule, the first 4 games of the season are not easy by any stretch of the imagination for the Birds, because after they go to Arrowhead and play Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl rematch, they welcome the LA Rams on September 21st. LA Rams, who obviously don't have Cooper Kupp anymore, but Puka Nacua is a fantastic wide receiver. I think they picked up another one in the draft as well. Aaron Donald also obviously not there anymore. But the Rams do have Matthew Stafford. And in my opinion, as long as Matthew Stafford's arm is good, the Rams have a chance of beating any team in the NFL, because I do think he's that good a quarterback. Then it's a bogey game as we go to Tampa on the 28th of September. We try and remove that from our memory. In fact, it might well have been the 4th or 5th game of the season last year. It was. Where we went down to Tampa, 28th of September. And yeah, let's just go down and beat them this time, please. All right. What do you players need to do? Go down to Florida, get some sun this summer, get used to the conditions. Let's go and beat them, please. I'm fed up of losing to Tampa. Week 5, we welcome the Tampa Bay Broncos to town. Tampa Bay Broncos. Sorry, still in my head. We're in the year 2036, and the Denver Broncos migrated to Tampa. The Denver Broncos, Bo Nix and Sean Payton are welcome to town on the 5th of October. And then we get a couple of easier games, I would say. We're away, I should say, to the New York Giants on October 9th. Be interested to see whether Russell Wilson is at the helm then, or whether Jackson Dart has already been brought in to start for the New York Giants. And on October 19th, we are on the road again to Minnesota, playing the Vikings. That's an early kickoff. The New York game was a late kickoff on October 9th, for those of you watching back home and listening back home. Week 8, we welcome the New York Giants, the Saquon-less New York Giants, to Lincoln Financial Field 2 weeks after we play them, before going into a bye on week 9. Fresh off the bye, we have Green Bay away in Lambeau. A colleague of mine who I've just recently got to know in the US lives near there and has asked if I want to come up for that game in Lambeau Field. So I'm hoping that might be one of the other away games I can get to this year. Apparently, it's kind of a bucket list thing in the NFL over here to go and watch a game at Lambeau. So looking forward to that one. That's on November 10th. November 16th, Birds fly home trip. We welcome the Lions to Lincoln Financial Field, and that's going to be a tough one. Late game Sunday Night Football. Looking like, I just saw some messages there in the chat, Phil, looking like it might be a Friday to Tuesday trip this time around rather than a Thursday to Monday. Same amount of days off work. That means people don't need to worry too much about the late game on the Sunday. that could be pretty fun. And then after that, we are away. Yeah, tough games in a row there. This is a bit of a stretch here, right? Off the bye, we're away at Lambeau to Green Bay. Going to be welcome the Lions at home, and then we're away to Dallas on November 23rd. That's an afternoon game. So yeah, 3-game stretch there. You know, Eagles need to pick up at least 1, if not 2 wins there. Otherwise, you know, we'll see where we're at that point in the season. Chicago Bears, we welcome them on November 28th. Both of those games are obviously watch-alongs, which you mentioned earlier on today. One in Wales on the 23rd and one in Glasgow on the November 28th. We're then on the road to LA. This is the 3rd away game of the year that I may be going to. Invite from Mr. Brian Steffi to get down to LA to watch them play the Chargers. If Katie's listening in, whether she's going to allow me to do all these trips, we'll see about that. And then the Broncos on the 14th of December are at home at the link. Before December 20th, we are away to Washington. Another hard stretch here. Away to Washington on the 20th of December. On the road again, still on the 28th of December to the Buffalo Bills in Week 17, followed by welcoming Washington at home, TBD, sometime in early January. Hopefully a dead rubber by then, but we'll see. Phil, your way too early prediction for the 2025-26 season, my friend.
It's going to be really, really, really tough. It's a really tough stretch. Like I said, the first 4 games, we could very easily have a losing record going into the Denver game in Week 5. If we're not, if we don't start right, if we're a bit rusty, like we were last year. It wasn't until after the bye, remember, that we got ourselves together and actually went on a bit of a run. So it's going to be tough. I don't want to go so low as 10 wins, but I feel like maybe 11.
Mm-hmm.
The 11 mark is probably the most fence opinion guess I can give, because whilst I think maybe it could be quite a low scoring season in terms of record, it's because it's the hardest schedule on the map. The only one of the few saving graces is the amount that the Eagles will travel, because they're on the lower end of the distances traveled this year when you look compared to the Chargers, who are traveling about 37,000 miles to go to all their games this year.
Their fault for being on the West Coast.
Yeah, I saw a graphic that showed the highest and the lowest, and showed them moving across the map each week, and I was like, the Chargers are going to be absolutely fucked. I swear. I back the under for the Chargers, because they're just going to be absolutely run ragged. But anyway, the Eagles are about 15,000, with the lowest being about 9. So we're not traveling an awful lot, and we have only one road.
So like nearly half the Chargers' distance in travel, basically 27,000.
Yeah, it's about. Yeah, 20,000 less almost, but
Oh wow, okay, Jesus, all right.
They're traveling 37,000. We're only traveling
37,000. We're doing 15.
Yeah,
Oh,
so in terms of, like I said, the only West Coast road game we have is the Chargers game. After that, it's the furthest we are going is sort of up into the NFC North, and because the Raiders are coming to us, the Rams are coming to us, the Broncos are coming to us. So we don't have to go very far west apart from 1 week. So that's a good omen in terms of, that's definitely going to be a topic of conversation as we go into the season every week. We're saying, are we going to win? It's like, well, the Eagles are well rested compared to the Chargers, who are going to be screwed. And
a few games where we've got like Washington. I mean, I know this happens every season, but when you've got Washington really close and Giants really close, like that's 4 games in the space of like 6 where the Eagles barely move or go anywhere, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, 6 games. That's 4 games.
So they have the benefit of, apart from the Cowboys, the division being pretty close within itself. So there's coach journeys and stuff like that. But there's always points in the schedule where you look and go, oh, that seems a bit unfair. But when you realize the grand scheme of trying to make, when they're talking about, I think the Chargers are having to play a game in Las Vegas. I think that's what's being discussed, because there's stuff going on outside of football, and the way the schedule gods make it work. I know it's a computerized system now, but it's fascinating how it works. So there's always going to be a couple of stretches, playing New York twice in 3 weeks, back to back almost, and same with Washington at the end of the season. People are like, well, that's not fair. We don't have any back to back home games. But I feel like you're always going to have something about your schedule where you're going to be like, oh, that's going to be tough. But when you look at the positives, like I mentioned, distance travel, not going to the West Coast very much, they're also quite good positive things, especially when you've got a really hard schedule. If you're not having to go much further than Kansas City, Missouri on a Sunday evening, then I guess you can kind of you just have to take it.
Right?
So I'm going to go about 11 and 6. I think we're going
11-6. Yeah, I feel it. I'm not going to go into too much detail about it. I'll just quickly give you Well, look, all right, look, I'm going 12-5 because I can't sit on the fence like you. I'm far too positive for that. When I did a quick count up before you said 11-6, and I was at 11, but then I looked at the 6 games I had us down to lose, and I was like, we're probably going to win 1 or 2 of those. So put me down for 12-5, but I reserved the right preseason to go up to 14, 15, 16, 17. But yeah, put me down for 12-5 for now. Birds 12-5, make the playoffs. TBC, I'm making the Super Bowl. I'm not going to make a ridiculous guess on that just yet.
We'll make sure to do a proper go through. We'll try and get Tony and maybe Mick on as well, and go line by line and create our proper predictions, and then we can mark them off and see who gets the most right. But yeah, I think you could easily be positive. I was while you were talking, and I was just literally trying to go win, loss, to see where it came out. But I haven't had a chance to do that yet, and I might end up being more than 11. But I just feel like 11 is just the perfect jumping off point for where I think we're going to be this season.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, 12 for me, 11 for you. That feels about right. Tony and Mick probably around the 4 or 5. No, I'm joking. All right, good stuff. Listen, I gotta go. Gonna get back to work. So do you. Great to chat. Next time we chat, we'll have more details about Birds Fly Home. Maybe some more news on player contracts or movements. We should know how long Sirianni's contract extensions before. We'll have news about the Tush Push as to whether that's been bound or not. And who knows what else that happens in the world of Philadelphia sports. I've been Liam O'Neill, your host. Phil, thank you for joining me. We are the British and Irish Eagles of Philly Sports International, and we are loving to be back, baby. Go Birds!
Celebrate victories, rally through challenges, and bond with Phil fans as you toast with a dram of Loch Lomond single malt whisky. From tailgating gatherings to watch parties at home, Loch Lomond whisky becomes an essential companion, enhancing the moments that make football so extraordinary. It's the perfect accompaniment, from the joy of victory to the bittersweet moments of defeat. Loch Lomond offer a wide range of malts, with their flagship perfectly balanced, and signature expressions Inchmoan and Inchmuren to suit any taste palate. Celebrate greatness on and off the field this season with a perfect balance of Loch Lomond whisky and Eagles football. From the first pour to the crowd roar, fly Eagles fly.
Eagles!